In the cold dark of space, Echo 47 floated quietly near the edge of the Orion barrier. It was one of Earth's oldest listening posts, small, forgotten, and hidden. There were only 6 crew members on board. Their job was simple: listen to the stars. They listened for whispers, old signals, pirate chatter, maybe even alien languages. Most of the time there was nothing but static. Boring work, but peaceful. Until today. The last message sent from Echo 47 was short. A single broken word. Incoming. Then silence. No alarms, no warnings. Just I was gone. On Earth, in the Terran High Command Center, red lights flashed. Officers stood frozen, staring at the empty feed. The post had vanished from the system. No wreckage, no escape pods, just erased. Admiral Reese, a tall, battle-scarred veteran, stood with arms crossed. His eyes narrowed. He didn't like mysteries, especially not near the Orion barrier. "What happened to Echo 47? He asked sharply. The young technician at the terminal swallowed hard. "We don't know, sir. It went offline at 0300 hours. No distress call except that one word." "Play it again," Reese said. The room went quiet. Then the broken message played once more. Coming. A deep hum, a crackle, then nothing. The Galactic Council responded hours later. They called it a technical failure. They said Echo 47 must have been hit by a rogue asteroid. Case closed. Reese didn't believe that. Neither did Commander Vale, his second in command. "Sir," Vale said, "asteroids don't erase data cores. They don't silence deep space relays instantly. Something else did this." Reese nodded. "Send the Raven." The Raven was a stealth probe, fast, silent, and armed with sensors that could see through radiation, dust, and cloaking fields. It launched from Luna Base and reached the Echo 47 site in 12 hours. What it found shocked everyone. The station was gone. Only a few twisted, metal shards floated where it used to be. The debris showed something strange. Melted alloy, too hot for space exposure, as if it had been burned from the inside. Then the Raven's cameras found something else. A symbol, burned into one of the drifting panels. Large, red, alien. The edges still glowing. The symbol wasn't a warning. It was a message, a challenge. Commander Vale studied the image. "We've never seen this symbol before," she said. Reese stared at the screen, fists clenched. "That's not just a symbol. That's a signature." Meanwhile, strange things began to happen across the colonies. A trading post near Alpha Centauri received a burst of unknown code, then silence. A small mining station in the Kuiper Belt stopped sending data. Another listening station in the Vega system lost contact. In every case, the last thing seen was the same red symbol. Reese knew what this meant. Someone, or something, was sending a message. Earth wasn't just being watched. It was being warned or hunted. The Council still called it random. They told Earth to stand down. But Reese had been through too many battles. He didn't trust peace that came with silence. Then came the final blow. A recovered black box from a lost freighter revealed something terrifying. The freighter had been near the Echo 47 region days earlier. The recordings showed glowing lights in space, ships moving faster than any known engine, shapes with jagged wings and burning hulls, and the red symbol, shining like blood, painted across their lead vessel. Reese didn't wait for permission. He activated Protocol Omega. Deep beneath Mars, hidden in red dust and ancient steel, a vault opened. Inside was something no one had touched in over 200 years. Old Terran war files, command AI systems, blueprints for ships not seen since the old Galactic War, and at the center, a locked chamber with a glowing screen. It read, "Project Ironwake, active." The war machines had slept for too long. Now they were waking up. Back in the command center, Reese looked at his officers. They hit us first. They thought Earth would stay quiet. He stepped toward the map of the stars. "Now, we remind the galaxy who we are." The stars outside Earth blinked. For the first time in centuries, they blinked in fear. A week after Echo 47 went silent, Earth received a second signal. It wasn't human. It wasn't complete, and it wasn't meant to be heard. Inside the Terran High Command, Admiral Reese stood in the deep core comms room, watching as the signal played over and over. It came from a small colony near the edge of the Sirius system, New Arden Prime. The colony was gone now, burned out. But this signal, it was still alive. A low-frequency, pulse-like code, whispering like wind trapped in metal, repeating 3 words in broken galactic common. We were warned, then static. The voice was strained, not human, but not alien either. It sounded broken, as if something had tried to mimic speech and failed. Commander Vale leaned forward. What does it mean? Reese narrowed his eyes. It means whatever hit Echo 47 is moving fast, and it's leaving messages now. Not long after, more colonies went dark. One in the Gliese system, another on the edge of Trappist Outpost. Then a cargo ship carrying food to Titan vanished. No distress calls, no debris, just silence. Then the red symbol returned. This time it appeared in the middle of Earth's interstellar traffic net, a flicker in the system grid, red lines forming that same burning mark. It lasted 3 seconds, but 3 seconds was long enough to freeze all outgoing ships. It wasn't just a message, it was a threat. The Galactic Council dismissed it again. Glitches, sabotage, pirate activity, they said. But Earth wasn't listening anymore. Admiral Reese called in the Ghost Codex, an encrypted record of signals that Earth had been collecting secretly for decades. Among those records was a pattern, something no one had noticed until now. The red symbol had appeared before, centuries ago, before the fall of the first Terran Armada, before the Great Silence War, and every time it appeared, something vanished. Entire moons, mining stations, fleet, outposts erased from history like they never existed. Reese activated a new program, ShadowNet. Across the galaxy, Terran probes lit up, secret drones hidden near wormholes, listening satellites buried in asteroid belts, each one now watching, listening, waiting. It didn't take long. A message burst through from an old observation satellite orbiting a dead world near the Sagittarius Rift. It was a video. The screen opened to darkness, then flickered. A Terran transport ship, Model T-class, was seen drifting. Lights off. Engines cold. Then came movement. Not from the ship. From outside. A shadow. Long, needle-like. No visible engines. No glow. It moved like it was gliding through space on thought alone. Then came the scream. A sound not meant for human ears. It was high-pitched, jagged, full of pain and rage at once. The shadow pierced the ship. Not with weapons, not with force. It passed, through it, and the ship disintegrated, piece by piece like sand blowing in wind. No fire, no explosion, just gone. The screen went black. In the command room, silence fell. Reese turned. We're not dealing with pirates, not technology. This is something old, something that doesn't follow our rules. Commander Vale stepped closer to the map. Sir, we just received another burst. From where? She turned, her face pale. From inside the solar system. The room froze. That wasn't possible. Earth's solar system had defense rings, scanner webs. No unknown ship could enter without setting off 1,000 alarms. And yet, the signal was real. It was coming from the far side of Neptune. A Terran scout ship, Icarus, was the closest. Reese gave the order. Send them in. Eyes only. No engagement. The Icarus moved in. What it found wasn't a ship. It was a fragment, a piece of an object, black as night. Covered in red glowing lines, half melted, half alive, and pulsing with energy not seen since Earth's first war with the stars. The science team aboard the Icarus tried scanning it. That's when the nightmare began. Every ship system began to fail. Lights flickered, doors slammed shut, gravity reversed for a second, and then the ship's AI began speaking in another voice. The eye watches, the ear hears, you should have stayed blind. Then silence. When the Icarus returned, the crew was different. Eyes red, voices low. They had aged 20 years, though only hours had passed. One of them, the youngest, wrote a message in their own blood. They are not coming. They're already here. That same night, Earth's hidden AI system beneath Mars, Astra Prime, reactivated on its own. It displayed only one word across every screen on Earth's military grid: awaken. Admiral Reese looked at the stars through the command window. They're repeating the signal, he whispered. Every dead colony, every red mark, every silence. Commander Vale spoke, her voice trembling. It's a countdown. The red symbol blinked again, one line, then two. Earth had 5 days left. Beneath the surface of Mars, hidden deep under layers of old red rock and ancient steel, the silence broke. The ground trembled. A low hum echoed through the underground chambers. Machines that had not moved in over 300 years came to life. Dust shook from old war panels. Forgotten lights flickered blue. The vault had opened. It was called Project Ironwake. The world had long believed it was a myth, a ghost story told to Terran cadets, an army buried beneath Mars, a fleet so powerful even Earth was afraid to use it. But now, that fleet was waking up. Admiral Reese stood inside the control room of Astra Prime, the ancient AI core that controlled Earth's old war systems. His face was pale in the blue glow. Next to him, Commander Vale stared at the giant screen as massive ship blueprints scrolled by, names they had only read in history books: T.S.S, Valkyrie, T.S.S, Iron Rain, T.S.S, Horizon Breaker, T.S.S, Revenant, all once part of the first Terran Armada, built during Earth's golden age of galactic power before the collapse. All presumed destroyed or lost, but they were never destroyed. They were hidden. Earth's leaders long ago had buried its most powerful weapons beneath Mars, believing they would never need them again. They were wrong. A loud metallic groan echoed through the tunnels. One of the hangar gates opened slowly, shaking the ground. From the shadows, the T.S.S. Revenant rose, its hull covered in armor black as night, glowing with lines of ancient Terran code. It was enormous, over 9 kilometers, long, shaped like a blade with no windows and no bridge. It was designed to be flown by AI and only AI, one that had not spoken in centuries, until now. The ship's voice spoke through Astra Prime's speakers. Commander Reese, identity confirmed, code Sigma Iron 07 accepted, awakening protocols engaged. The entire vault trembled. Outside on Mars, massive panels on the ground slid open. Dust storms blasted into the sky as one by one, 7 ships rose from below the surface. They floated silently at first like ghosts, before their engines began to hum with light. Each ship had its own AI, each one linked to Astra Prime, each one ready. Reese turned to Vale. This fleet was Earth's last answer, a weapon built in fear. A weapon never meant to fly again. Commander Vale looked up. And now? Reese stared at the stars above. Now it's our only hope. Meanwhile, in deep space, more reports came in. The Varn, if that's what they were spreading. But they weren't attacking in the way enemies normally did. They erased every colony they touched. Turned to nothing. No ruins, no bodies, no remains. Even memory was being erased. Earth historians noticed something strange. Logs of certain colonies were vanishing. Maps were changing. Entire systems were missing from star charts, and no one remembered them. Even AI archives were being rewritten. It was as if the Varn didn't just destroy, they deleted. Commander Vale said what no one wanted to say. They're not trying to win a war. They're trying to erase us from time. That's when Astra Prime revealed its last secret. A hidden message from 312 years ago, recorded by Fleet Commander Asha Valen, leader of the first Terran Armada. The message played across the fleet's systems. Asha's face appeared, young, calm, but her eyes full of sorrow. If you're seeing this, then Earth is under threat again, not from war, from unmaking. The enemy is not of flesh or metal. It is a logic that hates memory. It believes that to erase is cleaner than to conquer. We called them the Varn. You will call them something worse. I buried the fleet, not out of fear but to protect history, to protect time itself, because once the Varn return, they won't just erase Earth, they'll erase everything we ever were. The message ended. The screen went black, and then the stars began to scream. Sensors picked up a massive burst of energy near Neptune. A wormhole was opening, large, unstable, and glowing with red light. Ships were coming through. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. The Varn had arrived. Admiral Reese gave the order. All ships launch. Prepare for full planetary defense. If they want Earth, they'll get a war. The Terran Fleet, once silent for centuries, now burned across the solar system like a storm of steel and fire. 7 ancient ships, millions of lives behind them. And a message written in the heart of every Terran engine, we remember. As the Revenant led the way, Vale whispered, "We may not win, but we will not be forgotten." And high above Mars, for the first time in 300 years, the stars heard the Terran Fleet roar. The Terran Fleet had risen. 7 ships of war, born from the dust of old Mars, now burned through space like awakened gods. At their head, the T.S.S. Revenant, black and silent, guided them beyond Neptune, toward the bleeding tear in space, the wormhole the Varn had opened. But before they could reach it, the screaming began. Not from the fleet, from the stars. Faint, high-pitched, constant. A sound like glass shattering over and over inside the mind. Even machines heard it. AIs began reporting strange activity. Code rewriting itself. Memory logs being altered. Names missing from files. Something was wrong. Then came the signal. It was weak, broken, originating from the edge of the wormhole. A life pod, floating alone in space. The pod had no Terran markings, no known species ID, but it was broadcasting, in human language. Admiral Reese ordered the T.S.S. Valkyrie to retrieve it. A containment bay was sealed. Medical bots moved in. The pod hissed open, and the thing inside was not what anyone expected. It was humanoid, tall, skin like smoke, bones wrapped in strange glowing veins. Its body was half organic, half machine, fused together with burning scars. Its eyes, dark with silver lights, blinked slowly. It looked at them and spoke one word. Herald. Commander Vale stood frozen. Herald. Of what? The creature answered in a voice that wasn't just sound, it was felt like pressure in the chest. Of the end. Medical teams rushed to scan it, but the results made no sense. Its cells were human, but also not. As if something had rewritten them, like it had once been human but was rebuilt by something else. The Herald was dying. But before its body began to break down, it spoke again. They are not conquerors. They are erasers. The Varn do not take land. They do not want power. They believe history is the disease, and humanity is the infection. Admiral Reese stepped forward. Why us? Why Earth? The Herald turned its glowing eyes toward him. Because you remembered. You recorded. You preserved. You listened. That was your sin. And then it screamed. Its body began to twist, folding in on itself. The lights inside it pulsed red, not blood, not energy. Code living code, Astra Prime immediately cut the feed. Quarantine bots sealed the room. The Herald exploded into ash, but it had left behind something, a vision. Not seen with eyes but uploaded straight into the minds of every AI within range. A single moment from a lost galaxy, planets burning, stars being drained of light, entire libraries of alien history being torn apart word by machines shaped like wolves of metal and fire. The Varn. They did not build, they did not talk, they hunted memory. They existed to wipe out civilizations that tried to record the past. And Earth? Earth had always listened. The wormhole near Neptune pulsed again. But this time not with ships, with voices. Tens of thousands of them. Layered, echoing. The fleet's comms burst with whispers, some in Terran language, others in forgotten alien tongues, each one repeating the same phrase. Your history ends. Here. Reese stared at the stars. How do we fight something that doesn't want to win, just to erase? Commander Vale didn't answer. No one could. Then Astra Prime lit up. One of its old subcores had been activated, a backup system from over 400 years ago. A digital vault containing lost projects from Earth's earliest space days. Inside was a file labeled Omega Seed. It was a ship design, not just any ship, a failsafe, a living archive, a vessel made not to fight, but to remember, powered by ancient quantum logic, armed with data storage beyond anything modern tech could build. A ship designed to carry everything, human art, science, memory, voices, and names. In case Earth fell, it had never been built. Until now. Reese looked at the schematics. Build it, he said. Even if we lose, they won't forget. But time was running out. The wormhole began to change. From its glowing red center, objects began to emerge. The first wasn't a ship. It was a structure, a floating temple shaped like a cube, spinning slowly. Its sides showed holographic images of Earth cities, erased, twisted, rewritten. New York burning, Tokyo crumbling, Mars being split in half. But none of this had happened. Yet. Commander Vale realized what it meant. They're not just attacking. Time. They're using it. Astra Prime confirmed it. The Varn weren't just coming to destroy the present. They were reaching into the past, planting symbols, altering memory, weakening humanity's timeline so it would crack when hit. Earth was no longer in a war. It was in a temporal siege. Reese stood at the center of the command deck, surrounded by ancient weapons, AI voices, and ghost signals from the stars. He looked at his crew. At dawn, we strike. Not just to protect the planet, but to protect the truth. The Varn want silence. Let's answer with thunder. Outside, the Revenant began to charge its main core. Its hull glowed with blue fire. Energy, pulled from a time when Earth ruled 10 star systems, and far beyond, the Varn kept coming, not to conquer, but to delete. The stars had gone quiet, not with peace, but with fear. Far beyond Neptune's orbit, the Terran Fleet hovered just outside the wormhole. 7 colossal warships, black steel, blue flames, and old fire in their engines. They were ancient, but now awake, now alive, and Earth's answer to extinction. The T.S.S. Revenant stood at the center, pulsing with light. Inside, Admiral Reese stared through the war glass at the swirling red wormhole. It pulsed like a heartbeat, a wound in space that should not exist. Beside him, Commander Vale whispered, "They're watching us." Reese nodded. They've always been watching. Suddenly, the wormhole twisted. It didn't open wider. It inverted, like space itself folded inward. From the depths, a single object emerged, not a ship, a mirror, flat, dark, floating. But as the fleet's sensors scanned it, the mirror began to shift. It reflected not the Terran fleet, but Earth itself. Earth burning, oceans boiling, skies falling, and a voice came through, not through radio, not through language, through thought. Every crew member across the fleet heard it inside their mind. You are a virus of memory. You dig. You store. You speak of things that should fade. The silence was our gift. You rejected it. Now we erase. Admiral Reese clenched his fists. Enough. He stepped forward and activated Echo Protocol, a one-time comm burst that blasted the Terran identity across space. A single sentence sent in every language Earth ever knew. We are Terrans. We remember. And we fight. And then he gave the order. Fire. The Valkyrie launched its forward cannons. Beams of compressed plasma tore across the void, striking the mirror object. It shattered. For a moment, the wormhole blinked, dimmed, and then the Varn came. They didn't appear as ships, they appeared as shadows, dozens. Then hundreds, sleek, thin, shifting shapes that ignored gravity and moved without engines. They seemed to fly by will alone, black against black, but glowing with red, threads like veins, like nerves, like hunger. The Terran Fleet opened fire. Space lit up in bursts of blue, white, and flame. Missiles screamed. Beam cannons lit up the dark. Old war codes were spoken again. Target Alpha. Shadow 5. Evade. Breaker Wing, on my mark. All units, burn and turn. But the Varn were not like anything they had ever fought. They didn't dodge, they didn't shield, they simply absorbed. The Revenant's main cannon hit a Varn cruiser dead center. It disintegrated, but then reformed. Backwards. Like time rewinding. Commander, Vale watched the replay. Sir, they don't obey physics. Reese didn't flinch. Then we make new rules. He activated Protocol Gravedust, an ancient Terran weapon designed during Earth's darkest days. It wasn't just energy. It was memory-piercing code, data that infected enemy AIs and drove them mad. The Revenant launched it. For the first time, the Varn hesitated. Several of their ships froze mid-space, shook, then imploded inward with a sound, like a whisper ending. It worked, but only for a second. Then the Varn adapted. They changed shape, became less real, like smoke with teeth, and they struck. The Horizon Breaker was the first to fall. A dozen Varn crashed through its hull, not with weapons, but with thought. Inside, crew screamed. Memory files began deleting themselves. One officer forgot his own name. Another forgot the ship. Another forgot she was human. In less than 2 minutes, the ship was lost. Reese watched the feed. I won't lose the past, he said. Not again. Then a new signal came through, from Earth. It was Astra Prime. The Omega Seed, the memory ship meant to carry Earth's legacy, was complete. It was rising from Earth's surface, covered in diamond-white armor and broadcasting human history in every direction. Speeches, songs, art, names, birth records, family trees, everything. It shined like a beacon, a warning. And the Varn saw it. They turned. Half their fleet broke away from the battle and surged toward Earth. They weren't just trying to kill humans, they were trying to kill everything that proved humanity ever lived. Reese stared at the screen. They're not just enemies, they're erasers. He tapped the fleet-wide comm. To all hands, this is not a war for land, this is not about victory, this is about truth. He pointed toward the Earth feed. That memory ship carries everything we are. If they reach it, we vanish from history. He stepped into the captain's cradle. The Revenant's systems linked to his heartbeat. Hold the line. For every voice that ever called Earth home. The Varn charged. The Terran fleet burned. The stars screamed. And in the silence of deep space, Earth's oldest weapon sang one more time. The battle near the wormhole had bought Earth time, but only seconds. Now the Varn moved faster. Half of their fleet had broken away, flying toward Earth like blades of silence. But Admiral Reese and the Terran fleet followed them, burning through space at speeds that strained even the ancient engines of the First Armada. Then, the stars vanished, not gradually, all at once. Sensors turned black, light twisted. The solar system was still there, but not where it was supposed to be. Inside the T.S.S. Revenant, the crew stared in confusion. Stars blinked, then reversed, then froze. One of the officers whispered, Sir, I think we just entered a trap. Commander Vale checked her monitors. The fleet had followed the Varn into a strange region of space known only in old logs. Sector Theta 9. A nebula that wasn't a nebula, a place where light had no meaning, where ships went in and never came out. The ancients called it the mirror field. Inside, everything looked familiar, but wrong. The stars were shaped like constellations from Earth, but broken. The moon was there, but it had no shadow. Planets appeared, floating and turning, but their surfaces were made of mirrors, reflections of memory. Each ship in the fleet now saw something different. The Valkyrie saw a version of Earth that never fell, an empire of peace, shining under a golden sun. The Iron Rain saw a battlefield, full of its dead commanders calling it home. The Revenant saw nothing, just black, because the Revenant had no memory of peace. It was built for war, only war. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The ships began to fire, not at the Varn but at each other. Mirages, echoes, false targets. The Varn were using the mirror field to twist vision, distort time, confuse history. Ships were chasing ghosts, firing at shadows. Some crews were seeing long-dead lovers. Others were reliving old defeats. One Terran vessel self-destructed after the captain believed he'd already lost. Reese roared over the comms. Lock sensors. No visuals. Full blind mode combat. The order was brutal but necessary. Terran ships turned off their cameras, radar, and scanners. They fought using sound, heat, and old analog systems, things the Varn couldn't corrupt. And slowly, they started pushing forward. Commander Vale activated an ancient backup system called Cold Eye, a visual system not based on sight but emotion mapping. It showed where fear lived, where hatred burned, and it found something. A large energy mass hidden inside the mirror field. A hive, not a ship. A living creature the size of a moon, wrapped in Varn shadows pulsing with red light. At its center, a throne of silence. This was where the Varn were born, where they were controlled, where they were fed, not by fuel, but by stories. Commander Vale gasped. They're not killing to win. They feed on memory, on meaning. Every battle, every death, every story of human loss, it made them stronger. The Terran Fleet was bleeding fuel for their enemy. Reese stared at the hive and realized the trap. The more Earth remembered, the more power the Varn took. But if Earth forgot, it would die anyway. They were caught between two deaths: erase everything, or feed the enemy. And then, deep in the ship's ancient database, Astra Prime found one last file, a warning left by Fleet Commander Asha Valen, the same woman who had buried the First Armada. If the Varn ever return, you cannot beat them with memory. You must fight with something they cannot absorb, something older than thought, something that never records, that never tells, that never remembers. You must fight with instinct, with rage, with silence. Reese understood. The fleet couldn't fight as humans anymore. They had to become something else. He ordered a full reboot. Every AI was turned off. Every log erased. Every ship went dark. No memory, no data, just steel and fire. The Terran fleet became ghosts. They moved without words, without records, without signals, and the Varn grew hungry. They reached out for thoughts and found none. They searched for fears and found only silence. And then Earth struck. The Revenant launched straight at the Varn hive with its core reactor set to overload, not to destroy it with force, but to drown it in emptiness. The Varn's core began to pulse wildly, confused, dying. Their whispers faded, their shadows blinked, and then the hive cracked, splitting open like glass dropped in still water. Inside was no ruler, no king, just a single, broken message written in 1,000 dead languages. We were silence once, you made us remember, now we vanish and take you with us. The mirror field collapsed. Time snapped back into place. Stars returned, and the Varn were gone, but not completely. One Terran ship didn't make it out. The Iron Rain, lost somewhere in the folds of false time. Its crew, still whispering, still remembering, still feeding the last Varn fragment hidden in forgotten space. The mirror field collapsed, and for the first time in weeks the stars were real again. The Terran Fleet emerged, scarred, broken, and missing one of their own. The Iron Rain had not escaped. Its signal flickered once across the void, then was gone. A whisper lost to a predator of thought. The Varn hive had been shattered. But Admiral Reese knew that wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far worse. Deep inside the Revenant, Astra Prime activated an emergency protocol no one had ever seen before. Not even Reese, a code hidden within a code, one that only revealed itself when Earth's memory was attacked at the level of time itself. The screen turned black. Then white letters appeared. Varn are not alone. They are echoes. There is something else, something deeper, something coming. Reese stared at the message. What could be worse than the Varn? Commander Vale answered without turning. The thing that created them. Suddenly, Earth's skies lit up. Not with war, with light. The Omega Seed, Earth's last hope, the memory, arc carrying all of humanity's history, was activating its final phase. It wasn't just a ship, it was a beacon, above the planet. It unfolded its wings of data, long glowing panels of crystal and steel, reaching out like a butterfly in bloom. And it began to sing. Not in sound, in code. It broadcast every Terran song, story, painting, language, and face, all at once. A scream of existence, a cry of resistance, and far, far beyond the edge of the known galaxy, something answered. It was not a fleet, not a being. It was a presence, the size of a black hole, but burning with gold instead of darkness. A shape impossible to name, formless yet watching, alive yet never born. Its thoughts spilled across time, and Earth felt them. We remember. You fought the shadows. You kept your name. You passed the test. Admiral Reese felt the message in his bones. The Varn weren't a war. They were a filter, a final exam given to rising species. If you lost your history to fear, you faded. If you held it in defiance, you awakened. Something older than stars. The presence moved across the galaxy. Without ships, without engines, without fire. But every dead planet the Varn had erased, it restored. Not by rebuilding, by remembering. It reactivated memories buried in the bones of dead worlds, rewrote forgotten histories, restored languages lost in time. And then, it turned to Earth. A voice, clear, singular, and final, spoke in every human mind. You are chosen. You will guard the light. And it left, just like that, no demands, no return. But what it left behind was power. The Omega Seed fused with Earth's orbit. Its wings spread over the planet like a second atmosphere. Every human memory was now protected in living crystal. Every story unerasable. And the Terran Fleet? It didn't come home. It grew. Across the stars, humans began building again, faster, smarter, not with fear, but with purpose. The name Terran now meant something more than human. It meant, we remember, we endure, we defend. Admiral Reese retired soon after. Commander Vale took his place, now Fleet Marshal of 100 new ships. Before Reese stepped down, she asked him, what if the Varn return? He looked up at the stars, quiet for a moment. They won't, he said. They served their purpose. But what if the next test comes? Reese smiled faintly. Then we'll do what we've always done. He turned toward Earth, glowing bright behind the fleet. We'll answer. Final transmission. Log. Terran Command Archive date. 2471, Galactic Standard Status. Active Earth survived the war not with guns but with memory. When silence came, humanity screamed its name, and the stars remembered.